Okay. So, have been teaching with CHCP for about next year will be 10 years. I've taught a lot of different classes in the program. So I'm not gonna go through a lot of the details about kind of the syllabus stuff because we are supposed to kind of do a syllabus review with you all, but I'm gonna talk about and pinpoint some of the highlights. So I'm gonna turn my camera off and then we'll kind of go over a few things. So let me pull up the syllabus for this course. One thing that I do ask of everybody is to type your name in the chat box. That is how I keep track of attendance. So if you will, if you have not already, please type your name in the chat box. And I'll kind of go over kind of the discussion and how not discussion, the live lectures as we kind of go through the course before we kind of start the week 1 lecture. So I'm gonna try to kind of do a brief part of the syllabus and all the housekeeping stuff, and then we'll go into the lecture. Try to keep it an hour for you guys tonight. One thing I know that I have in the course, and I ask everybody to check. So please make sure that you have access to Rad Tech Bootcamp. Um, there are several Rad Tech Bootcamp modules. If you have not used Rad Tech Bootcamp, then it may if you hadn't logged into it in a while, it may have kicked you out. You may need another access code. But if that is the case, please check to make sure you have access to it. And if you do not, email me so I can get you another access code. I actually had a student kind of in the middle of the term last term, like for some reason um her access uh got cut off. But if something like that happens, you've had access and then for some reason you don't anymore, please let me know. Message me and then I'll reach out to Mr. Gage and see what we can do. Probably you just need another access code and I'll get that to you. So, all right. So, basically in this class, we're gonna talk about fluoroscopy. So we're gonna study fluoroscopy, how to employ it safely through understanding of the equipment, regulations, quality control, and safety guidelines. I know many of you probably have not got a chance to work in fluoro. So some of the same concepts that you learned as far as our imaging equipment, our stationary imaging rooms, um, it applies. It's just a few things that's a little bit different with fluoroscopy, but we'll kind of go into some of that tonight. Um, so we do have 2 textbooks for this course. And I will reference those and with your objectives, the chapters that you need to review. One thing I tell students every term, whatever class you take, is that your book is your foundation. The school provides you, or program provides you with a textbook. Um, and I know that some people do better with the physical textbook, but the option we have here is the ebook. And we'll kind of go into that in just a second, and it'll I'll show you how to access it if you don't know how to access it, know where it is. Um, so method of evaluation, what you're going to be graded on. So in this course, we have several different assignments. So you'll have your general assignments that are going to be worth 20 points. You'll have your quizzes that'll be worth 20 points. Your discussion is going to be worth 20 points. Attendance is going to be 10%. So attendance to the live lectures. If you are not able to attend, there is an option to write a summary. I will go over that when we get to it, but 10% of your grade is attendance. Your final exam is 30% of your grade for a total of 100%. The grading scale in this course, you do have to have a 80 overall grade of an 80 to pass the course. This is pretty standard in all the other classes in the program. It's like that in this class too. So grading scale 94, 100 to 94 is an A, 93 to 87 B, 86 to 80 is a C, 79 to 73 is a D. Late policy. I do follow the late policy. So it's the student's responsibility to complete all assignments by the due date. Prior to missing an assignment deadline, the student should request an extension from their instructor. The instructor may assign a penalty for late work at their discretion as follows. A 5% deduction of the overall score for coursework submitted 1 to 2 calendar days after the initial due date. A 10% deduction of overall score for coursework submitted 3 to 6 calendar days after the initial due date. Coursework submitted more than 6 days past the initial due date, if accepted at the discretion of the instructor, may receive a 20% deduction of overall score. So like I said, I do follow the late policy, but here's the thing. It clearly states in here that it is your responsibility to request an extension from the instructor. You have a week. So our weeks open at 11:59 on Sunday. One Sunday, the week closes at 11:59 the following Sunday. Then you have an additional 7 days that puts you in the late category to turn that work in. So for example, if we're in week 1 and you didn't turn in assignment this week, and then we get to week 3 or week 4 and you say, Ms. Jones, can I turn this in? The answer is going to be no, because you've already technically had 2 weeks to turn it in. Number one, I don't accept late work because we only have 8 weeks and we cover a lot of material each week. So when you get behind like that, it takes away from you learning about what we learned that week, because you got to go back and study for the week that you missed. So that's one thing. The other thing is that it's very important that we turn our assignments in on time, because I cannot tell you how many situations where we get down to the end of the term and we get to your grade and students may have 79.3. And you've turned like 4 or 5 assignments in late. If you wouldn't have turned those assignments in late, then you probably would have passed the class. That's basically turning stuff in late. You lose unnecessary points. So don't lose unnecessary points, because I can guarantee you, you will need those points in the end. I am very understanding of situations. Life, I get it, y'all. I understand. Life does life. I know you all work, and I know you have, families and other things going on. I know things can happen. So I am understanding of that. But we do have rules, guidelines in place that we should follow. Now, if for some reason you have an issue, and it's gonna keep you from, getting work completed, then reach out to me, let me know, and we can work on, a plan to kind of get you back on track or keep you on track. So I'm willing to work with you all if something happens, but we need to keep the lines of communication open. I'm not gonna go over Respondus Lockdown Browser because you all probably have used it. The only quizzes that I have in respondents in this course are your big weekly quizzes. All the other small quizzes that we may have or assignments are like the Red Tech Bootcamp quizzes. They're not responded. So only respondents quiz you have is your weekly quiz. But just some reminders about respondents. Uh, you do have to have an ID to do it. You do have to do like a environmental scan, and that everything is being recorded. And just know that you still need to remain professional if you know when you're being recorded. Now, I understand some people do talk while they take tests, totally fine. I've had instances where students have emailed me and said, you know, they went to a coffee shop or somewhere to take their test, so there may be background noise and all that. The recording will flag you, but if you give me a heads up what's going on, and if you can concentrate in those spaces, I'm fine with that. But just be mindful that everything is being recorded when you're taking your test with respondents. Okay. Any questions before we kind of move into the course? All right. So if y'all have any questions, just let me know. Trying to kind of get through this as much as I can, as fast as I can, rather. Okay, so we're gonna get into the course. Okay, so this is the course. My Canvas shell gonna look a little bit different than you all's because I'm the instructor. But there will be some stuff that you will see on your side. So pretty much this information about the course home, you guys should be able to see that on your side. So it has information about technical support. So if you have computer issues, um this is a good resource. I tell students, if you email me about a computer issue, I will try to help you as much as you can, but I'm not really a IT person, a technical person, and I mainly work on Mac computers. So if you're having issues with other computers, I may not be able to help you with that. I will try, but I can't guarantee. So if you click on technical support, it will kind of walk you through some things to help you. A lot of times with issues that we're having, is either like you need to clear your cache, you need to make sure your pop-up blocker is turned off, and then sometimes just restarting your computer, turning it off, turning it on will kind of reset everything. But if or restart or either totally powering it off and coming back up. So just keep that in mind if you have issues. That may be one of those things, or all three of those things may fix the issue. Information about student services, and then next gen student assistance. This is a counseling service you can take advantage of, but they can also help you with other things besides, besides counseling. They help you with study plans, they can help you with time management, they can help you with all that. So that resource is there for you. So here are our two textbooks, and you all should be familiar with how to access these, but if you click on the link, it will bring up another page with a gray box. And if you click on that box, it will bring the textbook up. All right. So textbook has a lot of good features that you can use to help you study. Um, it has a read out loud feature over here. Um, it does have a print feature, but if you try to print the textbook, it will lock you out because of copyright issues. So don't try to print anything from the book because it will lock you out of the book. Um, It has highlighters that you can use, different, you know, colors for different things. I think you can add other highlighters, if you need to change the display, how it looks and all that, you can do that as well. Um, it lets you make flashcards. So if you want to make some flashcards, it allows you to do that. You can bookmark in the book, and you can make annotations. So it does offer a lot of features uh, for the textbook. Hold on, let me go back to it. Um, like I said, the ebook option is what the school offers. It is a very, I mean, this is a very good study tool, for study material. I tell all my students that, you know, you have to have your foundation in place, which is your textbook. Because just trying to study the PowerPoints uh and not really investing in time and reading a chapter, it's not, you're not going to learn the material and you may struggle a little bit. So just keep that in mind. But every week I will, let you know what chapter kind of coincides with what we're talking about, and then you can go read that chapter. The chapters tend to be short, depending on what the topic is. So you can get in there, read and get you some more information. I will give you guys like a study guide to help you for your test. So keep that in mind when you are get preparing for your test. But you should not just be doing the study guide and then taking the test. You need to read the material. Because we get into the functionality of fluoroscopy. So we get into some of the x-ray part of it, learning about, uh some of the physics part comes back into play with us too. So we're not gonna go too deep in it, but it's some stuff that may be a review for you all from LMRT. But just keep in mind that you have the book as a resource, and is you have to use it. You can't get around reading the book. So someone asked me how to cite example of how to cite the book using correct APA format. So before I go show you the book, we're gonna go back to the course. It should be, sorry about that. It should be a tab for APA formatting in here. Okay, so number one, if you have never used APA, you don't know, I'm saying APA and you don't know what that is, you need to go to this tab and you need to look at these websites. Um, the website that's linked here, Purdue Owl Writing Lab, to me, that one is a little bit more user friendly, and it explains it a little bit better to me. But you need to understand APA is used throughout the uh the program. You should have used it in your other classes, but it's this information you need to review. So the textbook actually gives you the formatting. So we see it says check for accuracy before use. So your format should be the last name, first initial, second initial of both of your authors. So if you have more than one author, you should have the information for all of them. You should have the publication year of the textbook, the title of the book and the edition, if it's later than the first edition, and we're on, I think this is the 12th edition, and then the publisher name. So you copying and pasting this is not correct. And that goes from my class or any other class you use a textbook. It's giving you an example, but you have to fill in the authors and you have to fill in publication year. So just know if you use it, that's you need to fill in the information. Then the second thing is with APA formatting is two parts. You have an in-text citation that follows your quote, and it basically supports the writer's words, and then you have a reference, and that basically gives credit to the body of work, the textbook. So with APA formatting, you can't have one without the other. You have to have a in-text citation, and you have to have a reference. Your in-text citation should consist of your author's last names, the publication year of the book, and the page number from where you pull the quote from. So that's pretty much APA in a nutshell. But if you guys go to that APA website and review it, it'll kind of go in a little bit more detail about it. All right. So every week we will have a live lecture, except for week 8. I usually reserve that time week 8 because it's a shorter week to let you guys study. So I don't do a live lecture that week. But every week our live sessions will be recorded. Um, you click on the link, it will have the time and date and time out there. You click on the link, and it will break, the instructions down. So for your live lectures, you attend, if you are able to attend, you participate. We will have interactive things. You participate, you stay from the beginning all the way to the end, you get full credit. Um, if for some reason you can't attend and you have to watch the recording, then you have to submit a summary or comprehensive summary of what was covered. So a comprehensive summary is not just an outline of the topics. You have to put some meat into that and kind of elaborate on the topics that we talk about. So just keep that in mind. Um, Also, make sure you are typing your name in the chat box because that is how I keep attendance. So if you come in and you don't type your name in the chat box, to me, it's like you weren't here. If you come in late, you still need to type your name in the chat box. Now, our lectures will probably last 45 minutes to an hour, more on the hour side, but if you get in more than 15 minutes late, that's fine. You can stay in, but you need to submit a summary. Because you may have missed some key details from the beginning. So you need to go back and watch the video and submit a summary. If you didn't do it when we started tonight, it's okay. But just kind of giving you guys the framework for going forward, what we need. So once I get the recording link, I will put the recording link right above the link to that's posted here to join the lecture. So it'll say recording link, and then it'll have the link. You click on that link, it should take you to Zoom, and you can watch the video. Also the Zoom does produce like a chat log, and that's another thing, how I go and grade. I also take pictures of the chat log to compare. So I have a couple different ways and mediums that I look at to make sure you're there. So if I look at both of those and I don't see your name there, then I'm going to assume you weren't here. I have across 4 classes, I have about 70 plus students. So, I try to grade in a timely manner, but grading this assignment, I can't, you know, I have to make sure that, you guys are there, you're here, and I can get it graded in a timely manner. So if I have to, I'm not looking at the chat box during the live lecture, so I need you to put your information in there because that signals to me that you are here. Let's see. What else? Do y'all have any questions about anything so far? We'll get to the material in just a second. Okay. So each week, like I said, you will have a weekly test. Your test will be with respondents, but you will have other activities. We normally will have some sort of discussion for you to answer. You may have an article review, or you may have some other type of activity to do during the week that is graded. And then also, I have incorporated the Rad Tech Bootcamp um, quizzes for the information that we're covering for the week. So if you click on this, it will give you the instructions of what to do, how to find the the lesson, and what assessment. So I need you all, once you get done with the assessment, I need you to upload a screenshot of your grade. That's how I grade you for the assignment, because I can't go into Red Tech Bootcamp and look at your grade basically. So if you have issues, that's why I'm telling you, if you have issues with logging in the Red Tech Bootcamp, we need to, get them solved this week so you don't have any issues going forward, because we have assignments almost every week for Red Tech Bootcamp. One thing I will ask you guys, if we have some worksheets in coming weeks. Please make sure that you type your answers to your worksheets, because when you write, everybody's writing is not neat. And it's a little bit harder sometimes to grade pictures. So if you would please submit typed documents or Word documents with your answers on there, because that helps me get your grades done a little bit faster, but it's also it keeps me from having to decipher your handwriting and trying to figure out what you wrote and give you the proper credit. So just keep that in mind. Did you say if we were 15 minutes or more late, we need to do a summary? Yes, I did say that. That's not for tonight. I'm giving you guys a free ticket tonight. So if you came in tonight, you don't have to do it. Now, I would advise you to go back and look at the beginning of the recording. But if you do it tonight, you don't have to do that. But any other time, any other week, if you come in 15 or more minutes late, you need to do a summary. One thing I will tell you, I have watched all of these Red Tech Bootcamp videos, and they do a very good job of explaining uh the material. Some of this material is very dry. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It may be hard to digest, but these videos do a very good job of kind of breaking each topic down. And they're not long videos. They're like maybe a couple 2-3 minute long videos. So that's another guide or another aid to help you study. You got the Red Tech Bootcamp videos, and you also have your textbook, and then I have um you have a PowerPoint here that you can look at as well. And I actually have a second PowerPoint that I'm going to upload in here for you guys. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions at all? All right. We will hop over to the material. And in the interest of time, I have tried to condense a lot of material to kind of, introduce you guys to it, and try to explain it, put it in layman's terms, explain it, make it as simple as I can. So we'll take a look at that. So some of the slides that you see, basically this is my slide presentation. So it's a combination of the slides that I'm going to upload, the second set of slides for the week, and then the slide presentation that's there now. So it's kind of combination of both. So make sure you go review the slides that are there, the ones that I'm gonna put there, and then also the ones that are already there. You have a question? I heard it sound like somebody has an open mic. Okay. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about is what is fluoroscopy. Like I said, I know you guys may not have worked with fluoroscopy before, but it's often referred to as fluoro. You may hear people call it fluoro, you know, it's interchangeable. It basically is an X-ray imaging system used to visualize internal structures of the body in real time or live action, known as dynamic imaging. So dynamic, when we say the word dynamic, that means that changing and moving similar to a video. So you can think of dynamic imaging as short little videos. So think about videos you do for reels you do for TikTok or reels you do for Facebook, these short little videos. So that's basically what the dynamic imaging is. Um, it is for diagnostic purposes and it's used in procedures such as swallowing studies, esophagograms, or angiography. So those are just a couple things we use it for in imaging. So static imaging means it's lacking movement or action, similar to a picture. So the static imaging is basically the pictures that we take, the X-rays that we take. So your KUBs, your hand X-ray, leg X-ray, any X-ray that's just X-ray, no motion, no movement. That's gonna be your static image. So here is a picture of static versus dynamic. So this is our static image right here. Um, you can see is a patient has some barium in their mouth, they're swallowing it, but we just took a still shot of that image. So that's gonna be your static image. And you can see the difference. How it's lighter than our dynamic image. So this is our dynamic image. And if we were looking at it real time, basically what would happen is we would be able to watch this barium flow through our patient's throat. So they drink some barium and we could basically watch it as it goes from mouth down the throat, down to the esophagus, down to the stomach. So we would be able to actually see that as it's happening. So an overview of fluoroscopy, basically it's used for examining of moving internal structures and fluids. We kind of touched on that. The difference between fluoro imaging and our regular imaging that are in that we stationary rooms. The X-ray tube is under the patient and our image receptor is above the patient. Whereas our traditional X-ray rooms, our X-ray tube is above the patient and the image receptor is below the patient. So they're switched. During image intensified fluoroscopy, the image is displayed on the LED monitor. So instead of the monitors, how we may take X-rays and our X-rays show up on the monitor, that we have a special LED monitor that the digital images show up on. So usually with fluoro, we're using less than 5 MA, and the KVP depends on the body part. Um, Usually what happens with fluoro is it's going to give you a technique, and depending on the patient size and the area that we're looking at, it'll adjust the technique as needed. Now we have the ability to adjust the technique, but usually when you hit the fluoro button, it will kind of give you the technique you need to show what you need to see. And then it has automatic brightness control. So that's kind of what happens to help to help us be able to visualize those structure is fluoro has a ABC. It's called ABC, or automatic brightness control, and we'll talk about that a little bit later toward the end. So here's an example of the difference. So with fluoro, you can see, and it just depends on how you look at the picture. Uh, Typically, fluoro would have a patient lying on their back, or the table would be upright. But basically, the tube is below the patient. Your image receptor is above for your fluoro, and then in radiography, like we said, the tube is in front of our patient. Image receptor is behind the patient. So some other ways fluoro is used, we use them for urinary studies. They're used in interventional. We have to do arthrograms used with orthopedic surgery. It's also used with cardiovascular cases. So what do we do as technologists when it comes to fluoro? What is our role? So usually our role, number one, is to assist the radiologist. When we're doing like barium swallows, or small bowel follow-throughs, or modified barium swallows, we're basically assisting the radiologist. We may set the room up, prepare the contrast. We may talk to the patient the same way we do when we bring the patient in to get information. We may actually administer the contrast. So we may, if the patient is unable to kind of hold the cup with the barium in it, we may sit there, hold the barium in the cup for the patient, give them the straw to kind of help them follow the commands that the radiologist is giving. We may have to assist the patient with positioning. If you work with older patients, they may not be able to hear as well. Or if we work with younger kids, they may not understand. So we may have to kind of help position the patient, get them in the position they need to be so the radiologist can get the film, the spot film or fluoro film they need to get. And basically, we operate the equipment. So we have to have some knowledge of how to operate the equipment, because usually we're going to set everything up for the radiologist. Now, they will come in and make some adjustments, but we do need to know how to operate the equipment, because number one, we're going to have to save the images and send them to our PAC system. We don't necessarily create the images for fluoro, but we do need to know what to do with them. And basically, we need to know how the equipment works. So special demands of fluoro, illumination. So with fluoro, you'll have increased image brightness. So you will look at, or you can look at some images and they will look a little bit brighter than your normal images. And so that brightness is measured in units of lumen per square meter, or lux. And then visual physiology. The structures in the eye that are responsible for the sensation of vision are called rods or cones. And then when light arrives at the retina, it is detected by the rods and cones. So that's kind of what illuminates or shows that brightness, or how we see that brightness that shows up on the fluoroscopy images. So with fluoroscopy techniques, like I told you, the machine will pretty much give a technique. If the radiologist feels like the images are not as clear as they need, they can kind of adjust the technique a little bit. But with fluoro, one thing, the goal is to not use it a lot. So you want to use it as the least amount possible when you're taking your images. So you want to have maximum image resolution, which this is going to require high levels of image brightness. Your image intensifier is going to raise illumination into the cone vision region, where you the visual acuity is greater. So that's going to be why we are able to see that image brightness. And then the brightness will depend on the anatomy, the KVP, and the MA. So we'll talk about image intensification when it comes to fluoro. So when you think about image intensification, you can think of it as a super bright flashlight that helps us see things in the dark. So it allows us to see very fine details more clearly. And the image intensifier has five main parts. And I'll kind of show you guys what the image intensifier is. It's basically, we have a picture of what a fluoro table looks like, and I'll point out the image intensifier for you guys. But there are five main parts of the image intensifier. You have an input phosphor, photocathode, electrostatic focusing lens, accelerating anode, and an output phosphor. So first, the input phosphor, this is made of cesium iodide. It receives the radiation exiting the patient, and then it emits the light. So basically, we fluoro the patient. We turn the fluoro on. The radiation that exits the patient, because remember, the image intensifier is going to be at the top of our patient, and the tube is going to be at the bottom. So the image intensifier is the top. It receives that radiation that's coming from the patient, and then it emits those lights, those photon lights. Then with your photo cathode, this responds to the light that's exiting the input phosphor, and then it emits electrons. Those electrons are focused into our electrostatic lens. They basically gather those electrons up into kind of a small or a tightly grouped uh group of particles, so it can get to the next phase, which is the output phosphor. So this is going to start showing us, or start getting us to the image coming up on the screen. So once those electrons are gathered and kind of pulled together to go to the output phosphor, um, basically that's gonna lead us to the next part, which we'll talk about in a second. But the output phosphor receives those electrons from the photocathode. It emits 50 to 75 times more light than received by the photocathode. And the output phosphor is made of zinc cadmium sulfide. So once those electrons come into the output phosphor, uh they basically go to the television tube. And that's how the images end up on the screen that we look at. So that camera, or that monitor that we look at, basically converts the light signal from the output phosphor to an electrical signal, or electric signal. And that is what makes the picture on the screen. So the magnitude of the video signal is proportional to the intensity of light from the output phosphor. The television picture tube is replaced with a LED flat panel digital display service. And you will, whenever you get to see a fluoro um, room, you will have a specific monitor that you can see the images on, that the radiologists use, but then you'll also have like a monitor back where we stand, and while they do the procedure, sometimes you'll have monitors back there as well. But both of them will allow you to see the pictures that were taken from the fluoro. So dose modulation is a change in the quantity of signal response to another quantity of signal, and is widely used in medical imaging. So basically, dose modulation is us making sure we are not giving the patient too much or too little. We want to give the patient just enough to get the imaging we need. So video monitoring uses a rate of 30 frames per second. And for a 23 centimeter image intensifier, a 525 line TV system provides a spatial resolution of approximately 1 line pair per millimeter. A 1024 line system provides spatial resolution of 10 line pair per millimeter. And the higher the band pass, the better the horizontal resolution. So it's kind of similar to resolution when we have our TVs. So, we used to have TV, I think it was like 480p. Then we went to 8 something. Then we went to 1024, and I have no idea where we're at now. But it's kind of that same concept. Um, my I have a TV at home. It's a little bit older, flat screen, and you can switch it from a 480 to the next one up, which is a 8 something. Um, I think it's 8. If I'm wrong, guys, it's about the 8 with the TV. But basically the concept is if you look at it in 480p, it may be grainy. But if I go up to the next one, 8, whatever it is, or either 1024 1024, that picture is going to be a little bit more clearer. So that's basically that concept that I was just telling you about. So one function that we can use for fluoro is the magnification mode. So mag mode is just what you think. It sounds just like what you think it is. It magnifies the picture. So when you do this, um, it gives you better spatial resolution, better contrast, but it gives a little bit more dose to the patient. So magnification mode would be used if you're trying to cone down on a specific area. So if you have the patient drank some barium and if we're following it down to their stomach, and right when it gets to their stomach, there may be a, a tightening, or like it may be a stricture there. So the radiologist will, when they follow it down there, they may take a spot film and they may mag it up. So they may make it a little bit bigger so they can see it a little bit better. So that's kind of what magnification mode is. So when we use the mag mode, it does increase the voltage applied to the electrostatic focusing lens. So your mag mode increases the concentration of your photoelectrons. So you're gonna get, when you mag up, you're gonna get a little more photoelectrons. Your focal point shifts further from the output, and only photoelectrons from center of the input interact with the output. If you go for, there's a video that kind of demonstrates that with the Rad Tech Boot Camp. So I know some of this may sound foreign, but I promise if you go back and watch the video, it kind of help you get a better understanding of it. So basically with mag mode, you increase your contrast, you increase your spatial resolution, and you're going to increase your patient dose when we use this. So exposure rate with fluoro is very important because you want to keep their exposure rate as low as possible. So with normal fluoro, you want to keep their exposure rate less than 100 milligram per minute, and with interventional, it's the same. Um, we do have an auto exposure system. That is the automatic brightness stabilization, and this input exposure rate uh, is where the image intensifier tube is measured. And basically you have to make sure it is within a specific range to give you that brightness stabilization. So we're going to talk about automatic brightness control, ABC, and then AGC, automatic gain control. So ABC is how the fluoro automatically adjusts the exposure factors due to changes in anatomy. So like I told you, the patient's there, the radiologist may hit the fluoro button, and the machine is gonna give you a technique. Now, whether that technique is good for the radiologist, it depends. But when you have the patient sit up on the table, you hit the fluoro button, it's gonna give you a technique. Your exposure factors are going to change, of course, if you're looking at a patient using an AP or a lateral. Usually with our hypersthenic patients, our larger patients versus our asthenic or smaller patients, you'll see difference in exposure factors. You'll see different in exposure factors with adult versus pediatric patients, and your max ABC. So if you get to the point where you max out your ABC, this is when your AGC kicks in. So if you have a patient and you've maxed out the technique for that patient to do whatever body part or look at whatever you are looking at, you max that technique out, your AGC is going to kick in. So your AGC basically increases the brightness once the ABC reaches its max technique. So if we have patients that are a little bit larger, we still are able to see what we need to see. So the AEC, which we should be familiar with because a lot of our machines stationary x-ray machines have an AEC, or automatic exposure control. But on the fluoro, your AEC consists of your automatic brightness stabilization, which is your ABC, your automatic dose control, which is your ADC, and then your automatic dose rate control, which is your ADRC. So kind of just an example of your ABC versus your ACG. Or AGC. So your AGC, your automatic gain control. This is, like I said, once our ABC maxes out, our ACG kicks in. So you can see what the picture looks like when the technique is maxed out. But then when our AGC, automatic gain control, kicks in, it lightens that picture up. So that's kind of how it works. So think of it as once the ABC gets tired, the AGC takes over. So here are some pictures of what a fixed fluoroscopy room looks like. So you can see right here where the x-ray tube is. This table you are able to move this table up, down, all the way up, or all the way till you have the patient standing. You can put it all the way to the patient's laying down. You can do a Trendelenburg position where the patient's feet is higher than the head. So the patient, that table can be moved up and down. The whole table can be used. So this whole unit can be moved to make like the patient is standing up versus laying down. Now the table also moves as well. So you have a control that will shift the table left, right, up, down. You do have a collimator with filtration there, and then your image receptor and your image intensifier is up here. You do have an anti-scatter grid. You have a curtain as well to kind of shield from the radiation that's coming from the tube. And all your action is taking place in your image intensifier, so it can show up on your display monitor over here. So a RF room or our RF suite is basically just a stationary X-ray room and a fluoro table in that room. So that room is able to function as a regular X-ray room. You can take any type of X-ray you need. And then it also can function and use the table to do fluoro. So basically both of those components are in one room. And then the last two ways we can use fluoro and imaging are a C-arm and an O-arm. So we use C-arm, usually we use C-arm in surgery. And we will kind of talk about C-arm later on, so don't freak out about it now. But it's basically the same concept as the fluoro in the room that's in a stationary room or in a fluoro room, but it's just kind of compact. Our our uh our source is at the bottom, our image intensifier is at the top. And then we also have an O arm. So a O arm kind of looks like a CT scanner. This part right here does actually close all the way. They use O arm for different types of of procedures. Sometimes they'll use them for orthopedic procedures. They're used for different type of procedures, but it just kind of depends. Now, as a technologist, I've never used the O arm, whether it be in surgery or in another area, but you just need to be aware of it, and what we use it for, the different procedures that it could be used for. All right. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Do y'all have any questions? Like I said, I'm gonna post the study guide and another deck of PowerPoint slides as well. And going forward, our next lectures will be a little bit more interactive. It won't just be me, reading everything to you guys. We're gonna have some questions and do some like interactive things. So I won't bore you guys to death talking about this material. When you post it, will it be under week 1 or the announcements? When I post, it will be under week 1. The only time I use announcements just to send things to the whole class that you guys need to know. I do a weekly announcement to open up a week and close it out. So if it's anything pertaining to work or something like that, it's gonna be in week 1. I'll have the other set of slides labeled second PowerPoint slide, so and then I'll label it study guide so you'll know exactly what it is. All right, guys. If you don't have any questions, then you can go ahead and type your name in the chat for outgoing attendance. And we'll see you guys next week.